The
information which I intend to share with you is so important and so sensitive that in order to avoid any mistaken wording on my part, I'm going to read it out on behalf of our Russian and British producers.
Alexander
Litvinenko, who, before he emigrated to London, was an employee of the Russian Federal Security Service, FSB, and who later became an assistant to the tycoon Boris Berezovsky, died in November 2006 from poisoning with radioactive polonium. Suspicion fell on a former officer of the Russian Guard Directorate, Andrei Lugovoy, who, by 2006, had become an entrepreneur. Russia rejected Great Britain's request to extradite Lugovoy, citing Article 61 of the Russian Constitution. This states that a citizen of the Russian Federation may not be deported from Russia or extradited to another state. The British Cabinet Minister, David Miliband, amused the entire international diplomatic community by suggesting that Russia should amend its constitution, whereas Moscow accused London of lack of evidence and of politicizing the investigation. Both countries expelled diplomats, and their relationship became so frosty that it had echoes of the Cold War. Although, considering what a large quantity of Russians now live and work in the UK, and what a large number of Britons likewise live and work in Russia, political scandals cannot prevent individuals from both countries interacting at a human level, whereas in the past, only official contacts were possible. Therefore, a group of Russian and British independent television journalists has decided to help the two countries improve relationships and to achieve a breakthrough in the case of Litvinenko with the help of experts rather than politicians.
I'm a polygraph examiner. I trained in America. I trained in a place called San Diego, one of the leading schools in San Diego, the Baxter School of Lie Detection. I spent around 3 months out there. I spent a lot of time doing field work as well as doing school work. I then went to the International Academy of Polygraph in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where I trained specifically on post-convicted sex offenders. I came back to England, and at the time when I came back, I was the only qualified examiner in this country. I've done a lot of confirmation of innocence tests. In fact, if you think about it, most of the tests are confirmation of innocence, or at the end of the test, they could be confirmation of guilt. But of course, I have to say that when testing subjects, there is a balance between the amount of people that are truthful and the amount of people that are lying. And it kind of falls that there are more liars than there are truthful people when we're doing polygraph tests. I've probably done a couple of thousand confirmation of innocence tests while I've been testing in this country.
So how reliable is the polygraph and how accurate is the test?
I would like to say that polygraph is 100%, but of course nothing is 100%, and we can't say that. The only figure that we can give out is by studies from the American Polygraph Association, which is around 96 to 97% accuracy. But when I give a result, I stand by that result 100%. And unless I cannot do that, if I cannot do that, then I won't give a result. I give an inconclusive, which is no result at all. But when I give a result, I'm certain, in my mind, it's the right result. Andrea, I'm going to give you the results for the test. First of all, I'm going to read out the questions that I asked you, your replies, and at the end I will tell you the results. Did you do anything to cause the death of Alexander Litvinenko? You answered no. Were you involved in any way in the death of Alexander Litvinenko? You said no. Have you ever handled polonium? You said no. I can tell you the result was conclusive. You were telling the truth. No deception indicated.
Andrei Lugavoy's test, which confirmed his innocence, made headlines in Russia and in many other countries, but not in Great Britain. The news was not covered by any leading newspaper, nor any nationwide TV channel. People started talking about an information blockade and saying that the D-Notice Committee, a kind of British censorship department, had declared a news blackout. However, we are not sure about this. Sometimes unspoken taboos, self-censorship, stereotypes, and maybe simply fear may be more powerful than any other ban. Despite the absence of any evidence, many conspiracy theorists saw the hand of the Kremlin in the Litvinenko affair. One of them is Masha Gessen, the author of the book Putin, The Man Without a Face, published in New York. On page 225, she writes, Alexander Litvinenko's murder was, doubtless, carried out by the order of the Russian government, and it's indisputable that it was authorized from the very top. Polonium-210, which was used to kill him, is exclusively produced by the Russian government. Both production and export are strictly controlled by the federal nuclear watchdog, and to procure the required amount would require authorization from the very top. This kind of authorization must have come from the president's office. In other words, claims Gessen, it was Vladimir Putin who ordered Litvinenko's murder. In order to test the validity of Gessen's accusations, we turned to Professor William Happer, the renowned Princeton physicist. At one point in his distinguished career, he served as nuclear forensics advisor for the U.S. government.
And the book is called The Man Without a Face, The Unlikely Rise of Vladimir Putin. As a scientist, what's your opinion of her conclusion?
Well, it doesn't sound very convincing to me. I mean, it's just an assertion. It doesn't have any facts behind it.
Is it true that polonium-210 is manufactured exclusively in Russia?
No, it's nonsense. You can make polonium in any research reactor. All you have to do is put bismuth into the reactor and cook it in the reactor for a few months and then take it out and chemically separate the polonium. So it's a common isotope. If you look at a stellar of isotopes, they all offer polonium for sale as an alpha source. It's the most common alpha source there is, and it's been around for 50 years and longer.
What, can you get polonium-210 online?
Yes, small amounts you can order online.
Is it possible that polonium that was made in Russia could have ended up going through a middleman and going through various other countries?
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, if I were to guess, I would guess that's how it got to Britain.
From your reading in the literature, have there ever been any incidents of theft or disappearance of polonium in the past few years?
Well, yes, there have been reports of polonium getting into contraband trade. You can read about it on the internet. Even if the Russians control the polonium very carefully, once it's sold, for example, to textile mills in Malaysia or India or somewhere like that, they've lost control at that point, and who knows what happens from that point onward.
How much does it cost to create a lethal dose of polonium-210?
Well, it depends on how you get it. For example, the stuff that's easy to get is maybe a thousandth of at least lethal dose, and it's sort of, last time I checked, it's $70 or $80 for each of these 1,000th doses. So, you know, if you were willing to spend $70,000, you could assemble it with lots of these little pieces. You know, that would certainly attract a lot of attention. If I were doing it, I would simply try and buy it at some textile company that uses so much polonium that just one device would be enough to get all that you need for the poisoning.
And these textile companies are they only in Russia, or are there any in Britain, America?
Well, they're textile companies all over the world. They tend to be in South Asia, Pakistan, India, Malaysia. You know, look where your clothing comes from. It's often from those places, and that's where the fabric is made. And those are places where polonium sources are used.
As mainstream media avoid mentioning both Lugovoy's test and new theories concerning his death, on the other hand, ordinary British people are trying to sort this affair out for themselves. A short while ago, the London tour company London Walks introduced a new stopping point on Piccadilly, not far away from the Itsu Sushi Bar, where Alan Titchard, a leading tour guide, tells his listeners about Alexander Litvinenko's case.
We are on Jermyn Street, the gentleman's street of London in the heart of St James's. Abracadabra. Restaurant, bars, nightclub. And with its Russian-themed menu, hardly surprising that Russian tourists eventually find their way here. Even less surprising then to learn that Alexander Litvinenko was a regular attender here. We now believe we have evidence to show that Alexander Litvinenko was already contaminated before he was supposedly poisoned at the Pine Bar of the Millennium Hotel by Andrei Lugovoy on the 1st of November. This story, I assure you, is going to change everything. Now, Alexander Litvinenko was a regular client of yours here. Came here on many occasions, and you're telling us he was also here in the period, a few days or maybe a week before the events of November the 1st, when it is alleged that Andrei Lugovoy was supposed to put polonium into the tea of Mr. Litvinenko in the Pine Bar of the Millennium Hotel.
Yeah, I mean, he had mostly meetings here. I mean, I can't ever recall him coming here just by himself. He either came with colleagues or he was waiting for them to come, so... and I just assumed it was business meetings.
Right, so tell us, how was it that the police found out about his visits here?
They said that they found that he'd been here by his credit card slip. So they come and checked the place out.
What happened next?
Well, the guys with the hoods and the white suits and all that, and all kinds of machinery came in and just completely swiped the whole place. Right. And they found 3 traces of him where he sat, where he touched the handrail going up the stairs, and where he sat on the table in the reception. Right. Polonium everywhere.
We have to make this abundantly clear to everyone that all these events, the contamination that was found, must have taken place in the days, or perhaps a week, whatever, before the events of November the 1st, because as we know, that is the date that the police are saying that they suspect that was when the alleged poisoning took place. It couldn't have been beyond that, because at the end of that day, Mr. Litvinenko took ill and then never left his bed. This blows the entire case against Lugovoy, poisoning him on the 1st of November, right out of the water, doesn't it?
I think it's ironic that's not been brought to light. And the thing is, by saying it only happened on that particular day, they have a suspect. Mm. If it took place before then, they haven't got a clue who might have done it. So they're just looking for an easy way out.
Well, it might just possibly be that that is the one venue, the Pine Bar, that they can quite conclusively prove that indeed Mr. Litvinenko and Mr. Lugovoy were in the same place at the same time together.
That's right, yeah.
So maybe they...
That's too easy for them.
Well, yes, this was Alexander Litvinenko's favourite spot. When this bar is operational, the music plays, these lights are out, it is very dark indeed. Almost, as he said, pitch black. Strobe lighting, the flashing lights. The perfect spot, wouldn't you think? If somebody really wanted to spike your drink with anything, this would be the perfect setting to do it. Far better, you might think, than to run the risk of doing it in broad daylight in a well-lit bar in the Millennium Hotel, when I could easily, I would have thought, be spotted. This would be the perfect place, and given that they found polonium in this place, it's not unreasonable to ask the question, could, in fact, Alexander Litvinenko have had his drink poisoned here on the night that he visited Abracadabra? When the police came to see you, did at any time they ask you to identify by showing you photographs of any people that they, other than him, that you met? They didn't at all?
No.
If I just show you just 3 of these people, they're not named or anything, just can you just look at them for us, Dave, and tell me if any of these are recognisable to you?
Well, this guy, I know who he is, but I definitely never saw him in my... Possibility. No, definitely never saw him. No.
You're quite emphatic on that.
Well, pretty sure, yeah.
You're pretty sure that you've not seen him. Okay, Dave, thanks for looking at those. Now, the first one that you looked at was a photograph of Mr. Berezovsky. The second one was Mario Scaramella. And the third one, which you didn't recognise at all, was Andrei Lugovoy. Well, there you have it. We now know that polonium was found here, that Mr. Litvinenko was a visitor to Abracadabra in the days, or maybe a week, prior to the events of November the 1st, when it is said that Mr. Litvinenko was poisoned by Mr. Lugovoy in the Pine Bar at the Millennium Hotel. We also know that Mr. Lugovoy was not here on the occasion that Mr. Litvinenko was.
We did not set ourselves the task of investigating the murder. We just wanted to drag this case away from the realms of politics and idle talk and into the realm of science, if you will, and the deductive method. A lie detector is free from politics. It's designed to help establish the truth. It seems to us now that we have taken a small step in the right direction, which might bring about a giant leap in the investigation of the case, still overshadowing relations between Russia and Britain. We believe that the truth will prevail, and the perpetrators will be caught and punished. Our confidence is based not only on our faith in the scientific method and lie detector tests, but also on the fundamental values that unite our two countries. To those who want to sow the seeds of conflict between Russia and Britain, we can paraphrase Sean Connery's character from the movie The Russia House. We'll back our Britain against yours. There is nobody in Russia who would disagree with those words.